to wear over the head.
Oh, we're on, baby. We're on. We are live. Having some lunch with Lane. Get a little music. Going. We'll get into some market update. Some little market update. I can turn that up just a little, huh?
See, when you have a puff on your hat, how are you supposed to wear it with over-the-ear headphones? Do you wear it behind the thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I hate the puff for that reason, right?
I love the puff. Though. Look at this. I mean,
Hey everybody, just having a little lunch, hanging out. We're going to talk a little bit of real estate. Live casting with Lane is what get to call this one today. Isn't that awesome?
I might steal some of that or some of that.
Oh, you mean all of it, dude? It's you. How do you steal yourself, man?
It's not quite perfect yet, though, but it's a good start.
We'll hang out for a few seconds, wait for some homies to get online, and we can talk about real estate stuff, 2021. I'm still eating my Sammy. Sorry. Got to keep going. Well, I almost ate my headphones. If you're watching online, you can call. Oh, look at Anne's like, Anne Baranski's like, long live the puff. She says, long live the puff.
Where do you see this at? Can I see it?
On yours, it would be on comments on the right-hand side.
Right? I mean, I don't know what to do.
Sorry, I'm an anti-puff. Lane loves the puff evidently.
And while she's yakking about it, the reason I had to go to these are the spare emergency, in case of emergency headphones. Because these little turds right here, these little Apple iPods, for some reason, aren't working in my phone.
Oh.
And I'm like, why? I don't quite understand why.
Because it's not an Apple? Yeah, that's how they're getting you. That's how they're getting you.
Mr. Apple, yeah.
I'm not Mr. Apple. I am
not you, but
oh. Well, you mean people out there?
Yeah, the big Mr. Apple. Him and their proprietariness.
Yeah, right.
Fine.
Getting down with my protein water. All right. Well, let's. I'm gonna queue up a little video here real quick on just an expert forecast on 2021. It's like a little infographic one, but I'll queue it up here, and it's just really, really quick, but it should give some people at least some insight on some percentages on what some very, very wise people, chief economist from NAR, chief economist from Realtor.com, I think is on this one. Let me just jam this out here, and we'll take a look. Another 6% next year. Woo! Almost. All right. So that was one of them. At least one video. Obviously, claiming that interest rates are going to stay the same for next year or close, somewhere hover around that 3% or just under mark. So money borrowing is going to remain the same. I guess the negative side is so is the low inventory and the high demand, which means, well, if you own a home already, you're poised to make a lot more money again next year, just as we did this time. And Natalie's coming on and saying, hey, she's out there on Facebook, and then just saying hi to people as they say hi, I guess. I don't know. We're just sitting here having lunch and wanted to chat about the market. But building materials cost is really the giant conversation that seems to be at least kind of taking over the airwaves here in the Midwest. I'm sure it's the same across the country. Building materials, man. Wow. It's really changing how much a brand new home is costing to build. It's crazy.
It's funny because I was talking to a builder the other day, and he's a higher end builder, so generally his product is 750 and above, right?
Okay.
It's not a space that I play in often, but it's good to know people there. You can just kind of talk about it, right? And the problems are the same, but they're slightly different. For instance, the high end materials that you usually find in those houses, they're delayed as much as 6 months. So what we're seeing as delayed 2 and 3 months in normal, casements and windows and doors and trim, multiply it by the specialty stuff, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't sound like a big deal, right? But when you're paying a percentage of time or holding costs in that house, the bigger the number, the bigger the house, the more money you're going to waste on that holding cost thing. So,
no doubt.
I don't know what the solve is there, but
Sure.
It's the same thing up and down the buying side or buying price point for anyone, right? They're always missing something. And one of the guys in my networking meeting asked me this morning, when's this going to even out? I'm like, it's a great question. I have no idea. And if someone tells you they know, don't believe them because they don't. Right?
Yeah, well, let us consult the crystal ball here real quick. We'll just get into that. But I mean, at least it's safe to say, though. I mean, we're going to talk. We're just talking briefly about 2021. It's not going to get easier to buy. It's not going to be quicker to buy. It's not likely to get quicker to get building materials or anything else. So, I mean, really, what that means from at least a real estate professional standpoint is we need to be consulting with more people in order to be doing the same amount of business, right? And then on the flip side of what consumers should be doing is they got to be planning ahead. And obviously, we're not going to sit on here and just have a live cast and not talk about, the benefits of what we do. There's a reason that the Remax balloon is up in the corner of our live cast here. We help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. So when it comes to that, you really got to consider getting in the game much earlier than you think. Our phones are already being flooded for people that are getting ready to, list in the spring, right? So people are already starting to go, oh, what should I do this spring? And it's like, well, if you're buying in the spring, you could start shopping now. You could really start getting your act together. If not in the search side of things, meeting and picking your agent, working with your lender so that you're not just pre-approved, but you're pre-underwritten. Your experienced agents versus a brand new agent are going to know how to help you compete when you're competing against 10 people. One of our agents shared this week, they sent a buyer that they've been working with for a long time over to an open house. And that buyer drove up on the street and there were 20 cars on each side of the street and a line because everybody was at least socially distancing and doing their thing. The line was out the door and down the road. They didn't even go look at the dang thing because they were like, no, there's just that much. So having somebody in your corner that actually can help you compete, in writing strategies and everything else is still going to be huge in 2021. So don't go into it thinking you're going to start shopping for a house one weekend and by the next weekend you're writing offers. It's not like it, you're not going to move that quick. Right. So,
especially that entry level space.
Yeah, and at least in our place, and I don't know, for any of you, rocking around the country, depending on where you're at, where your average sales prices are at, where we're at here in Madison, Wisconsin area, I think the average sales price is around 280 now, 277, 280, somewhere in there. That's the average. But the properties that are actually listing under 300,000, I mean, 10 plus offers still, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's not new news for I don't think for anybody, right? So.
Was it one? Venden had one that they were looking at, the Mad City team, and didn't even have a dishwasher, and the thing went in like 10 seconds. It was well done.
No dishwasher.
Right, it was. Well, that was my buyer's hesitancy. She's like, you can't. There's a hole for it. The guy used it as a bench, so there's no dishwasher. I guess he didn't need one, so he had a bench there where he would maybe sit and eat. I don't know. There's a single male, but I'm like, there's a hole there for it, so we can get it attached quick. Don't hesitate on that because. You hesitate on that, 6 other people have already gotten offers submitted, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, hey, if you're watching online and you're watching our live cast, feel free to shoot out a question if you have a question about real estate, or if you're another fellow real estate professional, throw out a question you want us to try and answer, and maybe we'll fumble it. Maybe we'll do a good job. I have no idea because we're live. But here's another video too, just, some top 3 reasons why, I guess, buying in 2021 is still a wonderfully good idea. 3 reasons. Safe place. Yeah, so like rock and roll, right? I mean, those are 3 really quick, good reasons. I think it's pretty wild, but people that have been stuck in their rentals right now and they can't alter them has become a major issue this last year with COVID. So even that they said having a safe place to call home, I ain't having a sane place to call home. There's a lot more people now that wish they weren't necessarily renting, even though they're paying through the nose in rent, because they can't make any alterations. And now with COVID, they're kind of, they might feel like they're stuck where they're at, and you can't move a wall, can't add a built-in for your office. You're not installing a drop-down screen for your, whatever it is that you're needing to alter to just make being at home so many more hours livable. You got to move this year, so that helps a ton. Me and my family just got back from a 2,500 mile road trip, and thank God we live in a different house than we used to. We were all able to kind of retreat to a different level, different room, and get away from each other, because it was a little too much time together the last 9 months. So, oh, you're muted or something.
Don't forget about home ownership is the first rung in your investment portfolio, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons I love working with first-time buyers, is because I'm like, you don't understand what I'm doing for you. You don't understand what you're getting into. It's going to suck. It's going to be tough, right? But once you get in the game,
right,
that's when it gets fun, right? You have this equity, this magical money that just comes every year, 3 to 6%. You take care of your place, add new, cut the grass better, do some landscaping, add some new trim, gutters, roof, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
That's you saving money to go to the next house. We just moved. Well, one of the family members was in town, single female, just bought her first home, and she's 44 years old. I'm like, and she was in awe and loving it and this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, first off, you're single, so you don't need this much, right? There's no reason to get this much. We're a family of 4. Second off, we've been working on this for 15 years. Like 15 years ago, my wife and I lived in a duplex above another family. And that's where we started, right? And we had it, and it appreciated, and we sold it and moved that money to the next house, and so on and so forth. Long story short, you don't, kind of like what you were saying a little bit earlier, sorry about you hear that beaming?
That was just me changing the banner to, if anybody has questions.
Oh, my wife was texting too.
Oh.
The point is, like you were saying, you just don't get into that house. You don't get in the house I just bought right now. Take some time to build your way up there. The house you have. We've talked about it, where you lived over in the east side. Was it Collins, right?
Yeah.
Start up there.
And I was over in Hargrove before that, over off of, just Old Brick area. And it was like, it was funny because somebody just was talking to me about whether or not their kids should buy right now while things are really high price, or wait for things to come back down. And I kind of, there's kind of 2 little bit rules of thought that I have on that, I guess, or whatever you want to say. But first and foremost, you're not going to retire till you pay something off. It's kind of like buying a stock. Like, yes, do they go up? Do they go down? Yeah. But if you have never bought and you're going to be holding a property, not even just this property that you might buy, but be owning of something, it's going to go up or down, in the next however many years. And people are like, yeah, but you don't want to buy high and then sell low. Well, then don't. But that doesn't mean don't get into it right now. You got to start somewhere. And so I remember the second half of that conversation kind of being about the comment that she made, well, wait till it comes back down. And I just, I don't have the crystal ball or anything. I'm not trying to put that out there, but it's like, what is the likelihood that a price will actually go down? I mean, yes, okay, maybe building materials that have swelled a lot here in the last 12 months will will contract a little bit. Maybe those things will get back in line. But if we make another 6% next year, guy, a $300,000 property is going to be 320, 12 more months from now. And you break that down per month, that's whatever, $1,500 a month, $1,600 a month. Every month you wait, you got to come up with another whole monthly payment to buy that same exact house that you could have the month before. So waiting, I get the worry, or I can over speculate this to death, or I could speculate this into me being at an advantage. And I don't think you can right now. I don't think you could speculate yourself into, I'm going to wait for it to come back down just a little, and then I'm going to buy. And then 32 and a half years from now, I will sell and it will be perfect. It's like, no, just get into the market, just own, don't rent, that's my take on it. But
my father used to have this phrase: the only way you're going to win a fight is to get into one. You're not going to make any money unless you eventually buy one, right? Buy it first.
Right.
Get it taken care of. And markets are all different, right? Madison, we're in a bubble here. State capital, a couple big tech companies that are fueling our economy. We generally get protected from a lot
University.
Yep, university. I forgot about that, right? Totally forgot about that.
It's just University of Wisconsin.
But that thing, like those cities, if you look at markets, comparables, if you look at cities like Austin or in Madison or in East Lansing, Michigan, cities that have a state capital and a state university in them, their real estate's generally a little bit higher than the rest of the state by average, right? Just because that's the type of people that educated, high-paying jobs, lots of health. All those places all have lots of health facilities around.
Well, and you're hitting on, so Madison was one of the top 10 real estate performing markets in during COVID, right, or whatever. A lot of that had to do with investment properties and people buying income properties, investing in real estate here. If there's anything that I think will retract a little bit, it might be investment property. Because those have inflated maybe a little bit more than your single fam or whatever. But still, it's all about supply and demand. And if more and more people, let's say they're leaving a place like Chicago, which we know is happening right now, they're looking to invest their dollars somewhere else. Why would it go down unless they start to leave? So, and I'm not saying that's not the same across the board either. Your bigger metros aren't all suffering. There are bigger metros that are popping up on the map that they didn't have people moving to them at the rate that they did. I went to advanced training in the Army down in Huntsville, Alabama, and we had just driven down through there on our trip down to the Gulf or whatever. I haven't been there in 20 years. I have no idea that Huntsville blew up like that.
Yeah, space center there.
Giant metropolis now. Like crazy. And for any of my Alabama folks out there, the Pill Hill run. Oh, all I could think about when we drove by. It was like 6.2, 6.2 mile is a little 5 or a 10K that we did. 6.2 miles, but up and down hills. And all I can remember is my one drill sergeant.
1 mile.
Sweat. Yeah. He's just pumped at mile 5, and like literally my calves had, softball size. Like, oh God, it was horrible. Yeah. Anyway, it was fun. That's fun. But
no, your point. You just got to get into it. You got to do it sooner or later. Right? You're not gonna. And your investor thing. So I've seen a handful. And there's no numbers. I have no stats. I just ran across this in my normal line of duty. Sure. I've seen a couple of investors who went away from buying a duplex, an existing duplex kind of situation, and bought brand new Viridian homes. And they can make the math work, right? Now it's obviously a healthy, a little more healthy down payment, but the investors aren't finding what they want either. So they got to park this money somewhere, and they're feeling some of that too. And eventually it's going to flip over, right? Investors are flexible. They're going to find something else to take that money away, sell it, and move on. But the point is, if investors have a good chunk of single-family homes,
right. Well, and I even remember. I think back now. 2005 is when. So 15 years ago is when I bought my first piece of income property, and I bought it at the height. I mean, it couldn't have been worth more, but I didn't care because I was like, ooh, I'm going to buy my first income property. Like, I know this sounds naive as hell now, but I was like, I don't care how much it is. They're going to give me the money for it. Like and that's what I was thinking to myself. Now, don't get me wrong. In 2005, they were giving money to, monkeys to banana factories. I mean, it didn't even matter. They were just giving you money. They were like, here you go, sign here. And they gave me all this money. And I was like, oh, okay. But I remember watching it die. But I still owned it. I kept it full. I took care of it. And I remember when the market really, really took its turn. And there I'm sitting, in 2010, after nine, I think is when it kind of hit bottom. And I owed about what it was worth after paying on it for all those years. And I was like, what did I do?
But you're still getting cash flow, right?
But I was still getting cash flow and I was still paying it down. And then, of course, the market recovered again. So, and then at year whatever, after I'd owned it for 11 years, I had all this money that I had invested in that place and I did a 1031 into a much larger property that I have now. That was all stuff that people told me back that 10 years prior that I would do. But hell, when it was down, I didn't feel that. I was like, what did I do? This is such a huge mistake. But if you look at it from a long term, it's a long-term investment and you don't have anything to worry about, so. Well, I don't have any questions on the rail, dude. Nobody's feeling our lunch right now. I guess.
The conversations I got into over Christmas as well.
Yeah.
Person bragging about the size of their 401k. And versus me buying and selling real estate up until the same point. I was like, we're at the same point, but I'm going to make more money in the coming years. Yep. Because you're going to cap out, relatively soon.
Well, and it doesn't matter too. Every once in a while, when that market adjusts, real estate can go down, stocks and bonds can go down or whatever. But I always look at that. I watched my parents who are retired now. I watched them lose a third of their entire retirement account like 3 times.
Right.
And I was like, oh, even in the worst years in real estate, it didn't all go away, right. And I was like, and they were sitting there watching that number go away, and then they had to wait another 5 or 6 years for it to recover and come back. And I was like, man, when I have a bad day, it just stops going up. It doesn't usually tank and go way down, right? So I was like,
historically, it does not tank, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just have never, I don't know. I've always been a proponent on the real estate side too. Main Street, not Wall Street. Sorry to all you Wall Street folks.
Well, if you're good, you diversify, right? You got a little vol.
A little. So, well, hey, since there's nobody we've got like 7 or 8 people watching us, not a single question, no questions. So we might as well shut it down. Thanks for tuning in to have a little lunch with us. Sorry if you think it's gross if I'm eating in front of you or if Lane's eating in front of you, but we were like, we both are grabbing lunch. We've got a webinar we're doing here at 2. So we got to go get back to work, but so hey, we'll jam out of here with some tunes, and I just appreciate people tuning in. Have a good rest of your day, and we can all just sit here. I'll put Lane's face up on solo, and we'll just stare at him. Is that what we should do?
No, come help me with this thing quick before we do it.
Right on. I'll be right back. Take it easy. See you guys. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in for live casting with Lane. There it is on the screen. Oh, man. So cheesy. I love it. Take care.